Hello and welcome back to the KillerHERTZ Mercedes channel, and welcome to part 1 of my Nurburgring adventure series. Now, regular visitors to the channel will know that last summer in 2020 I was able to nip across to the Nurburgring in Germany for a taxi lap in the AMG GT R, as well as take my own car for a few laps. Now, this was just after the first major UK COVID lockdown, when everything was open again and all the borders across Europe were open. Now, we travelled across on the Eurotunnel because it's the safest method. We didn't actually have to leave the car. So while I was there, I filmed pretty much everything with the sole intention of making a couple of videos detailing exactly how we did it, what costs were involved, to help anyone who wishes to do the same in future. So this video is an amalgamation of all those clips put into one kind of film, I guess you could call it. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this video. As it's a 450-mile trip from my house to the Nurburgring, we have set off really early to catch the 7 AM Eurotunnel train from Folkestone. From now on, the entire trip is against the clock. I've arranged a taxi lap in the AMG GT R, which has been booked for 4 PM, 3 PM UK time, so we have a bit of a mission on our hands, as it's the last taxi slot in the day before the public Touristenfahrten session, so there's no room for any error. If you have a wide car like my CLS, I'd recommend when booking asking for the wide vehicle carriage to avoid damaging your alloys. You'll share the carriage with minibuses and camper vans like this one 2 vehicles in front, but it's worth it as even this carriage is too narrow for modern cars. The journey takes around 30 minutes or so, and without being able to get out your car and stretch your legs, it can drag a little bit. And obviously, being under a tunnel, it's pitch black outside the windows. And after about 30 minutes or so, we appear to be here in France. So there's not really much more I can say about this Channel Tunnel trip. It was fairly uneventful. Now, it's been a while since I've driven on the continent on the other side of the road, so fingers crossed there's no issues and we can carry on with the trip alright. Okay, so it's around 30 minutes later. We've just got on the road outside Calais. No issues whatsoever. Now, according to the sat-nav, we've got about another 3 hours or so to go. Apparently there's always traffic around Brussels, so hopefully we won't get stopped with that. Well, I must pay attention, right? Okay. Do we want to go to a Winksville? Okay. So it's about an hour or so later.
Stop it. Right. Don't listen to me.
Okay, so it's about an hour or so later, and we've just gone through Belgium and past Brussels. Now, there are no issues whatsoever with the traffic. I've heard loads of stories that's the worst part of the journey, but all good. Now, I must commend the lane discipline over here compared to the UK. Everyone moves over after an overtake, brilliant. Now, the only thing I have noticed is people do pull out on you at the last minute though. They do put their indicators, but you need to have your wits about you. And we've just passed another CLS63 AMG. We've got a thumbs up from the guy, so all good. Once you've made it through the main bulk of the trip, you're going to arrive in Germany. After which, it's only around 40 miles or so until you get to the town of Nurburg. Now, for the first time in the entire trip, we're off the dual carriageway and motorways and onto single twisty lane roads as we approach the gorgeous Eifel region. We are still up against the clock at this point. It's just turning 3 PM and with only an hour remaining, the race is on. Sod's law, of course. Almost immediately we get stuck behind a lorry for the entire way to Nurburg. That said, we do make excellent progress considering, and not long later we arrive in Nurburg. Now, although I've been here before, I've never actually been into the actual village of Nurburg down the high street. Now it's a very typical picturesque German village with the odd bar and restaurant throughout the high street, all being watched over by the amazing castle. Only around 50% of places are open, of course, due to COVID restrictions. So with no time to actually check in the hotel, it's straight to the Nurburgring car park to get suited up and ready for my taxi lap in the AMG GT R. Now at this point my adrenaline is starting to go into overdrive. I'm absolutely buzzing to be back at the ring after all these years, and of course for the pending lap. And not to mention it was roasting hot, around 30 degrees centigrade. Being a typical British person abroad, I didn't anticipate this or dress for summer in mainland Europe. I arrived in thick jeans, which of course I had to wear an equally thick race suit over the top. Okay, so this is it. It's taken 6 or 7 hours to get from the UK to Germany, and I'm finally sat in the AMG GT R. I'm all strapped in, I've got my race suit on, my race helmet, and I've got the intercom system to the driver, which is unfortunately isn't working properly, so I can not quite hear what he's saying. It doesn't matter though, the adrenaline's going through the roof, and I'm starting to overheat, but all that's irrelevant. I'm ready for the lap. Now I think that I'm prepared for what's about to happen, but in reality I had no idea. As soon as we go out to the main straight and he starts accelerating, immediately I can feel the G-forces. My head tilts back and off we go. We go under the Bilstein Bridge at well over 100 miles an hour. Down the hill of Tiergarten until we come to the first main bend. When I thought he was going to slam the brakes on, he didn't. It was the last moment he puts those brakes on. And as a passenger, everything feels a lot quicker than when you're actually in control. Now, as we continued round the lap, passing all the other race cars that were out there as if they were barely moving, my head was bobbing from left to right with the extreme G-forces. As I say, it's terrifying but equally exhilarating. Now, for the first half of the lap, the only thing you can hear over the V8 is my nervous laughter. I'd like to say it's hilarious, but it was terrifying but amazing as well. Now, it's one of the greatest things I've done. Any of you out there, petrol heads, actually get to the Nurburgring, make sure you sign up to a taxi lap. There are various different companies out there, whether it's Apex, Rent for Ring, I think Ring Freaks do them as well. There's various different companies, all different cars and models, from McLarens down to E36 M3s. You just have to do it, it's fantastic. So at the end of the lap, I asked the team if anyone would be interested in having a quick discussion about the car and all the features. Check the end of the video for a quick interview with Marcus, the driver of this amazing lap. With the taxi lap done and me still being high on adrenaline, we head over to the famous Apex Hotel to check into our room. Now it's a bit weird being here after following Misha's vlogs for years and seeing them building up the business since this place was just a derelict farmhouse and barn. Okay, so we checked into Apex about 10-15 minutes ago. Now we're up in the Premier Suite, up in the attic, so I thought I'd just give you a quick look to see what the actual hotel room looks like. I say hotel room, it's more like an apartment. It's absolutely stunning. Apologies for some of our items and so on here. I'll just show you around it. We've got this lovely living room kind of area. And then there's like a little corridor here. Watch my head on the beam. And then check out the bedroom as well. It's amazing. Then, how about this for view? Now it's kind of late July and it's absolutely scorching today. It's about mid to high 20s. You've got an amazing view of the castle up there. And then you've got a few, there's Rent for Ring down there, and there's a couple of garages and so on. A lot of bikes out today, I've noticed. And then we'll just go through here. If you have a look up, you can see out the window. You can actually see the track as far as I can tell. Just over there, you can see T13. Amazing views. What's out this side? Oh, you can see the main straight. Oh wow. There's some kind of private event on at the moment. TF is due to start in about 10 minutes. Look, see if you get any other cars coming down the main straight. No, of course, as I'm filming, nothing's appearing. Around 10 minutes or so later, TF, or Touristenfahrten, opened. Now immediately you can hear the increase in traffic with all the various different cars making their way down for their laps. Now from experience from last time I was here, we decided to avoid the mad rush and leave my lap in the CLS63 for an hour or so while we chilled in our room in Apex. A little while later, on the way to the track, I stopped to take the obligatory photo next to the colossal Nurburgring sign.
No.
I remember this is the tunnel. It's tradition. To take your car on the TF session, you can't just drive up and go on. First you need to purchase one of these lap tickets, either by visiting the ticket office on site, or the local ED petrol station, where I got this. Alternatively, via the Nurburgring official website, where you can use your phone screen to act as a QR code for the scanners. When approaching the barriers, simply hold up the ticket to the orange circle. Both the left-hand and centre barriers cater for right-hand drive cars. Now I didn't realise this and I wasn't close enough to the centre, much to the amusement of one of the trackside marshals.
Next one, you come here.
Thanks.
It's in your glove compartment.
Cool. Okay, we all good?
Yeah.
So the same as the AMG GT R taxi lap, this lap of me driving my CLS can be found in its entirety with different camera angles on my channel. Check the video description below or check under the Nurburgring playlist. Now for some reason this video has attracted quite a few downvotes on my channel and a few negative comments. At the end of the day, I'm not a racing driver. I'm taking my own car around the most dangerous racetrack on earth. Don't know what people expect, but if you're interested in having a look at it, go check it out. So for the remainder of this video, I'll just show the odd clip, a few highlights and so on. It's a fairly straightforward lap, apart from one point there was a yellow flag, because unfortunately a BMW driver had accidentally hit a deer and cut it in two. But I guess that's the risks of going around the Nurburgring. Oh, yellow. YouTube corner. Oh.
Shit!
Nailed it. And we survived without issue. Now it's never going to be the fastest lap. I was never aiming for it to be. So after an incredibly long adrenaline-filled day, we're back safely at Apex, both incredibly knackered, needing food and beers. Now the night's TF session has just ended, and as if someone had flipped a switch, the entire town has fallen completely silent. So off we go to Piston Klaus for a steak on a stone and many bit burgers. Now this place is run by Sabine Smith's family, and it's meant to be legendary, a must go to, so we've got to give it a go. And of course, this being the Nurburgring, just across the street is a ridiculously rare and valuable Mercedes CLS63 AMG Black Series, casually parked up as if it's a normal car. So after we had a number of bit burgers, which are the local beers, of course I went and ordered what this restaurant is actually famous for. It's steak on a stone, and I can report it was excellent. A huge lump of steak arrives, raw, and the ridiculously hot stone it's served on does the rest. Cook it yourself to your own liking, and it was fantastic. Wow.
Bon appetit.
Yep. Now, I didn't manage to film any of the interior of the restaurant, unfortunately, but it's completely full of all kinds of racing memorabilia, from the floor to the ceiling, absolutely rammed, which gives it a real atmosphere inside. As it was midsummer, we decided to have the food outside. Apparently this place can get really busy sometimes, especially at weekends, which does affect the service level you get. When we went, it was a Monday night with only a handful of others dining here, so no issues to report, and from our experience I'd thoroughly recommend a meal there to anyone. After dinner, returning back to the hotel, there was, of course, being the Nurburgring, chance of more car spotting with this Ferrari 488 Pista and Misha from Apex's old Sub 7 Up. So that brings us to the end of day one. What an amazing but hectic day that was. From the stress of trying to get to the ring for 4 PM, mirrored by the adrenaline rush of the actual taxi lap, and also driving my own lap. Make sure you check out the second part of this trip with the part 2 video, where the adventure continues. We check out the Nürburgring Castle, the Ring Boulevard, as well as go trackside during the prototype session. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and if you haven't done already, consider clicking on that subscribe button so you're notified whenever I upload any new videos and content. As always, thanks a lot for watching. Until next time, cheers.